without medical care. Do not leave your home unless you need to get medical care. While you are recovering, take care of yourself. Get rest and stay hydrated. Take over-the-counter medications such as acetaminophen to help you feel better. Stay in touch with your doctor. Call before you get medical care. Be sure to get care if you have trouble breathing or have any other emergency warning signs, including a spiking fever or bluish lips. Tell your close contacts that they may have been exposed to COVID-19. An infected person can spread COVID-19 starting 48 hours or 2 days before the person has any symptoms
Nova
or
Hybrid,
tests positive.
this is our most
By letting your close contacts know they might have been exposed, you are helping to protect everyone. If you're told that you're a close contact, you must quarantine for 14 days from the last exposure to that person. If you are diagnosed with COVID-19, someone from public health may call you. However, because of the rapidly increasing cases in the Quad Cities, we are concentrating on reaching out to the newly infected people to help slow the spread of the virus. We would be calling from several numbers, one of which is 312-777-1999, which is a state contact tracing phone call number available to us. But it is Rock Island County that would be calling. Numbers that begin with 309-558 are also health department numbers, or we do have some cell phones that we use here, which start with 309-737. All of those numbers are local Rock Island County Health Department contact tracers. Contact tracers from the Iowa Department of Public Health will be calling or texting from a number that starts with a 515 area code. Please pick up and help our community stay as safe as possible. Thank you.
In Scott County today, the Iowa Department of Public Health lists 11,369 cases. The number of deaths is 87. One of the most difficult aspects of this pandemic response has been seeking the delicate balance between public health and the economic needs of our community. When public health focused measures have been implemented, our businesses and local organizations have been challenged. When public health focused measures have been relaxed, public health has suffered, but our business and local organizations have been given some breathing room to try to recover. There's no perfect balance between the two. However, as residents and community members, we can help support a better balance between these two by supporting both following public health measures and also supporting our local community through your eating, shopping, and financial giving. While our partners on the call will address how your financial support can make all the difference, I'd like to remind you it's possible to do so safely during a pandemic. When supporting our local businesses during the holiday shopping season, follow these simple but important tips. Stay at home if you've been diagnosed with COVID-19 or have symptoms of COVID-19. And if you're waiting for COVID-19 test results, or you may have been exposed to someone with COVID-19. Call ahead to your favorite businesses to ask about online purchase options or curbside pickup. Avoid crowds. Go shopping during hours when fewer people will be there, for example, early morning or late night. Stay at least 6 feet away from others while shopping and in lines. And avoid locations that are especially crowded and where long lines form. Last, wear a mask in public shopping locations. If possible, use touchless payment. Pay without touching money, a card, or a keypad. If you must handle money, a card, or use a keypad, use hand sanitizer right after paying. How we support others during the tough times is what makes us stand apart. I know that we in the Quad Cities can make a huge difference by supporting our local organizations and businesses this holiday season.
And next, we will hear from Kelly Thompson, the Vice President of Grant Making and Community Initiatives with the Quad Cities Community Foundation. Please go ahead, Kelly.
Thank you, Brooke, and I'm really grateful to be here today. It's very appropriate. Today is Giving Tuesday, a day when we're all encouraged to give to the causes and nonprofit organizations we care about. The nonprofit sector is a crucial part of our Quad Cities community and economy. They make up 10% of our local workforce in everything from arts to fulfilling basic needs, to education, to health and beyond. They provide critical support to all of our local workforce and residents. They help make this a vibrant community with great quality of life. And as we saw this year, they form a network of crisis response when disaster strikes. This year, support of Quad Cities nonprofits on Giving Tuesday and throughout the coming months is even more important. A recent survey by Waston and Associates in partnership with Disaster Ready Quad Cities and the Quad Cities Funders Forum found the following about Quad Cities nonprofits as of the end of October. Of those who responded, 3/4 of responding Quad Cities nonprofits are still operating at or above their pre-pandemic capacity. That's good news, with the same or greater services as before. However, 2/3 of responding Quad Cities nonprofits have brought in less money than usual this year, both because of less that's brought in through fundraising and through decreases in other sources of revenue, like earned income, contracts, and endowment income. Finally, nearly 60% of those nonprofits that responded to the survey have reduced staff through furloughs, layoffs, or attrition. To sum up, Quad Cities nonprofits are doing more with less. Like many other Quad Cities organizations, including for-profit businesses, which I know Paul will talk about here in a minute, they continue to respond in an effective, innovative, and nimble manner, adjusting to provide their services and new services to our community in a safe and responsive way. I'll give you just a few examples. River Music Experience developed curbside concerts and now curbside carols to continue to bring live music to audiences, even if it's in their driveways. Humility Homes and Services, the Salvation Army of the Quad Cities, and other homelessness services providers shifted from congregate shelters to hotels, with dozens of volunteers from faith communities delivering meals to people experiencing homelessness every day for months. Hint, I'll mention this again later, more volunteers are needed for that effort. The Riverbend Food Bank and its many partner food pantries have distributed far more meals than any previous year, and also brought more fresh dairy and produce to Quad citizens by taking advantage of the federal Farmers to Families program. For each of those examples, there's hundreds more ways that Quad Cities nonprofit organizations have showed up for us all this year, like they always do. We don't want them doing more with less. We want to support them to do their best work. Many of these efforts that I mentioned have been supported by the Quad Cities Disaster Recovery Fund at the Quad Cities Community Foundation, which was activated in March for this disaster, and since then has made more than 100 grants totaling over $1.5 million. We are so grateful for the generosity that donors showed in giving to that fund at the Community Foundation, and the need continues. We've received nearly $4 million in requests since March, and we continue to grant from that fund almost every week to organizations who have identified ways that those dollars could help them better serve our community in this pandemic. We continue to invite gifts to the Quad Cities Disaster Recovery Fund, and the Quad Cities Community Foundation will be here to help our community through the current crisis and the long-term recovery. Everyone in the Quad Cities can help on this Giving Tuesday and in the months to come. There are many, many things you can do. You can give to the Quad Cities Disaster Recovery Fund at the Community Foundation to continue that much needed long-term recovery effort, or the Quad Cities Community Impact Fund, which allows us always to be here to respond to pressing needs and promising opportunities. You can give to the nonprofit organizations you care about. Give more than usual if you have the ability. Monetary gifts, which allow them the flexibility to adapt and respond as needed, are incredibly valuable. You can spread the word, share your favorite nonprofits' requests for funding with your friends and family, and tell them why you care about that cause, even if you can't give right now. You can volunteer. There are many safe ways that you can volunteer for organizations right now, sometimes even from home. Reach out to your favorite organizations and ask how you can help, or visit the United Way of the Quad Cities Volunteer Hub at their website. Finally, you can advocate for larger scale solutions like inclusion of nonprofits in state or federal relief legislation, protection and expansion of social safety net programs to keep more people from falling into crisis, and of course, follow the guidance of public health officials to help bring our community cases back down while we wait for vaccines to become available. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kelly. And next, we're going to hear from Paul Rumler, the President and CEO of the Quad Cities Chamber. Please go ahead, Paul.
Thanks, Brooke. I'm going to first start by complimenting the great team that we have in the Quad Cities. It's a special opportunity to be able to join today's press briefing, but to be able to work alongside Nita, Janet, and everybody else from the health departments and the health services team that's really formed a strong coalition over the last 9 months has been an honor. I really appreciate the extra efforts that everybody has gone through the last year together, and I really appreciate the balance that we're trying to strike to serve the Quad Cities residents as best we can. As Kelly was talking about Giving Tuesday, it made me think about the philanthropic giving plans that I hope a lot of businesses have in the Quad Cities area. And if you're a business and you don't know what I'm talking about, I'll put it pretty plainly. It's where do you want to spend some of your extra resources? Kelly talked about what we can do as individuals. I also think that businesses in the area need to have a similar plan, like what we do at home with where you give to your favorite nonprofit or one that you're engaged with or your church. A business can have a similar plan. And I've seen many businesses already this year think about how their holiday celebrations will look different. Instead of gathering their employees together for an end of year celebration, they're rethinking that. And instead of getting together, they're identifying a common cause that their team members are supportive and they're giving money to those nonprofits. And I think that's a very important aspect that we can do this year that might be different than in past years, that I hope will continue to be a trend as we go past 2020. So as Kelly said, you can identify a charity that you're involved in, or maybe get your employees together to identify one that they're commonly interested in. Or if you need help, there are resources out there. Kelly mentioned a few, I'll add a few others. I know United Way is in a campaign right now, and they give to a lot of charities in addition to running some really good programs themselves. And then Birdies for Charity generates dollars for over 500 charities in the Quad Cities area, and they are already starting to generate funds for next year's giving. So really want to piggyback on Giving Tuesday as much as we can as the business community. The other part that I'd like to talk about is it's a really important time of year to support the fabric of our community known as our retail and restaurant industry. There have been new restrictions placed on these important amenities in our area at a time where they need the revenue the most. If you talk to a retailer, the months of November and December make or break their year. And they are taking the latest restrictions as responsibly as they can while they offer a safe and responsible shopping opportunity. And we hope that Quad Citizens will go above and beyond this year to make sure that they spend some of their dollars this holiday season at local establishments. We know that this has been a difficult year, but I think that we can pull through one more time and make sure that we're supporting one another. So from a retail perspective, there are a lot of companies that have switched to online and e-commerce. So as you heard Ed Rivers say, if you're uncomfortable shopping in person, give them a phone call. I bet if you can't find what you need online, they might be able to help you by phone. This is also a good time to buy gift cards. So think about contacting your favorite place and purchasing a gift card. If you need help on, you don't know where to go, the Quad Cities Chamber has a business directory of all of the local establishments. We also launched a initiative called Keep It Quad Cities. Keep It QC is a buy local campaign encouraging businesses to do business with each other and residents to do business with Quad Cities businesses. So what you can actually do is if you're in the market for a gift card, you can come to our website at the Quad Cities Chamber and purchase a Keep It QC gift card that can be used like a Visa card at any establishment in the Quad Cities area. Some companies are even buying this for their employees as a holiday gift to make sure that they're extending the reach as to where they can spend money locally. So when we think about restaurants, make sure that you remember that even though that some dine-in establishments are unable to serve you, carry out and delivery is still an important opportunity, and they will appreciate you even more. So thanks for your help supporting the Quad Cities business community.
Thank you so much, Kelly and Paul, for that addition to today's briefing. With our media partners on the call, we encourage you to type any questions that you have into the chat. The first question I have here is for Paul. Do you think QC businesses have done enough to help stave off the spread of COVID-19? I'm just going to continue reading this, but it looks like there's a couple questions. They are seeing some fairly common crowded bars in Davenport. Has the chamber attempted to play any role in helping businesses understand the importance of safety?
Yeah, okay. You want to, there are about 5 questions in that chat box. So
yeah, we'll go through them. We'll go do a couple at a time.
Thank you very much. So I believe that most Quad Cities businesses have gone above and beyond in trying to respond to the safety measures that have been asked of them in following social distancing protocols and other mitigation strategies. The Quad Cities Chamber early on put together a toolkit to help guide businesses through that process. It is what gave us the confidence earlier this year to ask for reopening guidelines, because we've seen the investment and the particular experience that most businesses put in place. And they care about their employees as much as they care about their customers and making money. And there's a way to do all of that. So yes, I think that most Quad Cities businesses have done enough to stave off their part of keeping the spread low. I do understand that restaurants and bars are oftentimes put in the forefront of people's minds when they talk about businesses operating and in-person gathering. I know that restaurants are doing everything that they can to limit capacity. Bars are also following the state mandated guidelines about mandatory seating and less gathering restrictions. And we have at the Quad Cities Chamber continued to reinforce the importance of following the state mandates or the state guidelines, and we encourage businesses to do that. There are, of course, always opportunities for improvement, and we welcome feedback at the Quad Cities Chamber about what we could do differently, but also if you have an experience where a business hasn't lived up to your expectations, I guarantee that the owner would like to know about it. So provide a comment. Don't just go onto Facebook and give a random thought. I would encourage you to reach out directly to that business and have a thoughtful conversation with them about your experience.
Another question, can you provide information on the Chamber's role in lobbying for any more financial assistance for local small businesses?
Absolutely. Our local small businesses are struggling. We just did a survey at the end of October before the latest round of restrictions, in which we heard feedback that a sizable number of businesses are struggling from a cash flow standpoint. They might not make it another month, let alone another 2 months or a year. So of those numbers, it was about 35% said they only had enough cash reserves to make it another 2 months. Some of them were even less than 2 months. So some of them were a month or less. Some were even talking about having to close. I can only imagine that those numbers got worse in November. And are getting worse into December. So we had called on Congress a few weeks ago to pass another round of assistance for businesses and nonprofits that have been impacted. And we're encouraging Congress to expand the definition of who could receive assistance. The first round was focused on payroll assistance through the PPP. We're encouraging Congress to make sure that there's clarity on what PPP forgiveness is available, because there's not clarity on that across the market. Many businesses might get confused when they're ending their year that whether or not they need to pay that back. So the benefits of that have not been fully reached. We're also asking for flexibility in what the funds can be used for in this next round. Before, there are strong limitations that the money could only be used for payroll or for certain types of expenses. We would like to see greater flexibility, because the businesses know where their money needs to go to maintain survival. And so we'd ask for that type of flexibility. I heard from some businesses today that are struggling with increased accounts receivable, meaning that they have business, they've done the work. However, businesses are unable to pay their bills on a timely basis. So that's putting them in further troubles. So having flexibility is an important aspect, because we can't mandate across the board for each business's individual circumstances. Our state programs have also been very giving in terms of the state of Iowa and the state of Illinois continue to have federal or state assistance programs through the federal government that has given CARES Act dollars to each state. And those programs, we understand, are still accepting applications.
Looks like one last question in that section. Do you think more uniform regulations might help all businesses at the same time, or at this time, excuse me?
This is a softball question. Thanks for asking it. We started off this year asking for the states of Iowa and the states of Illinois to align their regulations and policies and approach to COVID-19. I think that what we said then is still applicable now. It would be extremely helpful if there was consistency across the board with how businesses needed to respond, or even residents needed to respond to that, to this pandemic. It's really confusing to most people why a restaurant can serve at full capacity in one state and less than a mile across the river here in the Quad Cities, they can't serve at all. And so if there was common regulations, you would not be seeing the migration of businesses that is in conversation right now, or the influx of tax dollars that then results from the change of traffic patterns and spending go from one city to another city. We're really seeing the impacts of a state-by-state approach and a non-consistent policy.
Okay, I don't see any additional questions, so we'll go ahead and conclude our briefing for today. Thank you so much, Paul and Kelly, for sharing some of your time with us today. We're grateful for that. The recording of this will be posted onto the Scott County Health Department's website, as well as on our Facebook pages. Again, we encourage you to visit both of their websites for additional information on the programs and opportunities for giving that they shared. And we look forward to speaking with you all later this week. Thank you. Have a good afternoon.